Hello, cyclocross friends, and welcome to episode 132 of Cyclocross Radio. On today's show, I have my good friends and co-announcing partners from last week's United States Cyclocross National Championships, Julie and Scot Herrmann, no relation, and spoiler, there is a relation. Ship. But we're talking about Cyclocross Nationals. We are getting into the nitty-gritty. We are getting into the behind-the-scenes details that you may not know. We're gonna get into the in front of the scenes details that you all know, but we may have a little different perspective on. And it is a fun recap. We'll call it a post-mortem of Cyclocross Nationals. It's long, but I expect you to stick with it all. That's your homework, and it's homework you're going to like. Thank you for continuing to support the show. Speaking of cyclocross friends, we have a new coffee available from Grimper Brothers. You can go to grimperbrothers.com or just go to wideanglepodium.com, and you can pick up a bag of the Hello Cyclocross Friends coffee. It's an espresso. I am so excited to get this. I really am. Beautiful artwork on there of one of our cyclocross friends. I'll leave the name until into the show because I actually figured it out while we recorded, so I won't ruin that now. But what I do want to tell you is that we have a sponsor for this episode, and that sponsor is MapleWorks Coaching. I'm gonna get the important stuff out here first, and that is if you go to mapleworkscoaching.com/pod, POD. You can get a special offer, and this is a pretty sweet special offer. It's a 30-minute strategy call with a cycling coach to discuss your goals and objectives. So they're going to take their time out of their day for all 3, 4, 5, 6,000 of you who are listening, and they're going to do a consult just for you. That's going to take a lot of their time, but they're committed for every one of you. And then I think after you have that conversation, you're going to want to hire them as coaches. And here's the thing. There are a lot of coaches out there. There are coaches who have gone to school and have been doing it for years and have coached Olympic champions. And then there's, the guy who got coached for 2 months and is a Cat 4 and decided, I get this. I'm going to coach my friends. So there is a wide spectrum. The thing that I love about MapleWorks Coaching, and I know all of the coaches in this company, it's Jared Nieders, it's Julie Hunter, it's Eric Griffin, is that they know their stuff, and they are successful bike racers who have the knowledge that needs to be given to you to help you succeed. And I know for years, if you know Jared is not somebody to hold back on his opinions, and his opinions of these coaches out there, usually on that other side of the spectrum I talk about, was not high because it was he saw it more as people just getting fitness plans. It wasn't coaching, it was a fitness plan. It was like, okay, do these workouts and then you'll get stronger. But it wasn't this holistic approach to what you need to succeed, to move up in the standings, to get your PRs, whatever you're looking for. And part of that, especially in bike racing, is the psychological side of it, the strategy of the sport, the figuring out how to win and how to be better. And that's the side that Julie and Jared and Eric give you. And the perfect example, two perfect examples at Nationals. One, before his races, you could see Jared and Julie and Eric all out there, but Jared was out there with his bike, yelling in a good way, encouraging his clients. He was basically coaching on the run, literally on the run from spot to spot to his athletes, making sure that they were succeeding. And that pretty much, you can't get more hands-on than that. So that's the kind of investment you're making for that kind of feedback. The other thing also has to do with Jared is if you saw my single speed video, Jared is the guy in the front who gets knocked off his bike and is basically Supermaning through the mud. And why I bring this up is not to embarrass him, but to say he got up, he was upset. He thought he could win this race, but he got up, he didn't quit, he kept on racing, he kept practicing what he preached, and he ended up in the top 10 after basically giving the field a 30 to 45 second head start. You see that and you think, that's a guy I want in my corner. If you're looking for some coaching, I know we all are, especially in the new year. We're looking for next year. It is not too early to be planning for cyclocross season now, but any other discipline you might be into as well. And honestly, I like all these guys. I think they are going to help you in doing what you want as far as coaching goes. They're kind of like the coaching super friends. You have Julie and Jared out there who are fighting crime, and then you have Eric, and this is not to slight Eric, but he's the guy back playing with the numbers and figuring out the way to catch the criminals back at the underground lair. So hire the coaching super friends at MapleWorks Coaching, and go to mapleworkscoaching.com/pod and get that special deal. All 6,000 of you, they're going to talk to each of you. Go to wideanglepodium.com, follow all the shows, follow the Gravel Lot. That's our new one. Become a member. We love having you as members. We need more members. It's such a small fraction of you who actually donate, and I love every one of you, and I heard from so many of you at Nationals, and it was awesome. We had great conversations, and you help continue to keep the podcast and video network alive, and thank you so much. And everyone else who does not contribute, now's your time. It's a New Year's resolution. It's a Christmas gift for us, and I want you to make it to us to help pay for this microphone I'm talking into and everything else that makes it's not just paying for it, it's growing. We're growing the network, and we're going to do some amazing things in 2019, and I'm very excited about it. But I'm also excited about this extremely long podcast you're about to hear. And I said I was going to talk for 2 minutes, and I'm already up to 7 minutes, and that's a long time, but I'm done. So let's go listen to the show. I'm talking to Julie and Scot Herrmann, and I'm doing that right now.
I always like when you're like, oh no, we're already recording.
Do you like that?
I do.
Okay.
I like when you're like, let's do that take again and again and again, and you're like, do they think that you're not recording already?
I have a question.
Like, you are always recording.
I have a question
right?
for you, Julie. Do you think that I'm not recording now?
Oh no, I assume you've been recording this entire time.
All right, back from the top again. Let's do take number 3. This time, I want you to act upset.
Damn it, Bill.
Oh, so tricky. Yeah. Did you all see the Cyclocross Friends coffee?
I have not seen it yet. Did it come out today?
Well, no, just go look on. Well, I showed you the artwork already, so it's not a surprise. Yeah, it's been revealed. So
it's announced. Oh,
people
good.
Can go to Grimper Brothers and buy the Hello Cyclocross Friends espresso, and then part of the proceeds go back to support this.
Support those who support us. I have a question though. So
yeah.
The design that's on there, what do you call that thing?
Is that
your cyclocross friend?
Yeah, I have to ask Alex who did the artwork, if she has a name for it.
It's your cyclocross friend.
Yeah.
I think Scott's putting in his vote there. He's so subtle.
I whispered it.
You know what? We're gonna order some, but I don't know that he's allowed to ever have espresso. Oh. The guy might already have too much energy. We're gonna have to water it down. He gets like a half a shot of espresso.
Nice.
Nice.
Thanks. Bill, I don't know if you know, Julie is also my life coach. So
life partner and life coach.
That's right.
No, I didn't say life coach. I said wife coach.
A wife coach. So
that
she
sounds like I'm coaching
coaches
your
you
wife.
on being a wife.
Yeah, right.
Whatever,
Exactly.
whatever works. That's all I'm saying. Whatever.
We're off to a good start, guys.
That's right.
I guess so. It's going to be the fastest 3 hours of your life, Bill.
Bill's like, I thought I got away from these two. I thought I was done.
No, he was like, I won't even have to edit this. And that's all evaporated in the first 3 minutes. He's like, I have to cut this down so much.
No, not at all. And, well, yeah, I'm sure I would have covered this tomorrow morning. Isn't that weird? I'm going to cover who you all are tomorrow morning, even though we're talking now. It's like this whole mind warp thing.
I love that.
And then it'll go out. Just to set the stage again, we spent a lot of time on a stage together. We were announcing the entire week of Cyclocross Nationals, and that was a lot of fun, and I enjoyed working with you. I got to work with the if not world, the National and Ohio Valley famous Herrmann announcing team.
Wow.
Yeah,
We
that's a nice ring to it.
We got to announce with Bill,
the
though.
cameraman.
I mean, yeah. Oh. No, I mean you're so much in cyclocross. Like it would be hard to just put one label on everything you do and everything that you've contributed. And it was awesome. It was so much fun.
It was. I was going to say, I got to spend many days in a 6x4 foot semi-heated.
It wasn't heated.
It wasn't heated. Let's just talk about even to start.
We were close. It felt so good.
Even to start with, so we are fans of USA Cycling, I would say, but that doesn't mean that everybody has their. We're not going to go. They're not our scapegoat. Like if something's wrong, we don't run to USA Cycling. Just knowing a lot of the people who work there and all of the hard work that they put into,
so much.
Yeah, developing these national championships, developing all the programs. I mean, I know, and they know too. If you work anywhere, there's going to be frustrations with the things that you try to do, but the people on the ground are really dedicated to doing the most. Now that I've said all that, the infrastructure that they have for their national championships is not new. And that goes along with the stage that we were sitting on, which, is a trailer that comes apart, and then it's divided into 3 separate sectors. So if you're stage left is John and the one to go folks over there doing the scoring. That they're right on the finish line, and then next to them, to their right, would be the officials sitting on the stage who are actually doing the hand scoring of everyone that comes through, and then next to them was us, and then we also sort of shared a little space with the with Larry and Colin, our stage managers and drivers of the truck.
That's right.
Yeah. And
to be fair, they said, they're like, this is its final event, right? This stage. And I always feel like do you ever see those articles when they're like, we're going to retire the 1942 bomber and we're going to fly it one last time to Arizona? And I always read that and I'm like, well, what is that, a short straw? Who's flying that thing?
Oh, yeah. No,
it's final voyage? Like, forget it. That's what I felt like. It's
like refueling tankers for the military. That they've been trying to build new ones now. Well, since I've been in my other job covering that stuff for the past, decade, 15 years, and they were already, 50 years old and out of date at that point, and they still haven't.
Right.
Yeah, that's sort of what this trailer is. But
they did shoot. I don't know if you guys noticed. They shot a Flex Seal commercial on site to try and keep that thing watertight. Did you guys notice them shooting the commercial?
Yeah.
Because they rolled out like 300 yards of Flex Seal tape, didn't they?
Yeah, and they put it all on the top. So that's what I was going to say is that I was talking about sort of the dedication of these people. So these guys, who have been followed around, Colin and Larry sort of take care of all of the national championship infrastructure and drive it from national championship to national championship, and they literally keep it together with duct tape. And when it started raining, which it did this week, we had like leaks coming down and sort of onto our stuff. And then Larry went out and built a gutter system out of finish line placards.
Yeah, Larry was awesome.
Which was amazing. I was just like, but that's like the kind of stuff that we were dealing with all week. That just, I think personally, made it that much more fun, because it was almost like it was like summer camp up there, except it was really cold.
When they said, I said, "Where's Larry?" and they said he's building a gutter, and I was like, he's my hero. He's building a gutter. That's where Larry went. He went to build a gutter in the middle of the championships.
Can we so it's leaking, like, and it's, we've discussed like stage left, stage right, like, so we're stage right, and the only spot that's leaking is down onto where Scott is sitting. So he decides,
strategically,
like, Scott's sitting
strategically
there, I'm sitting next to him, and then Bill's on my right hand side,
smiling.
And Scott decides he's going to go get, this is pre-gutter, he goes and gets an umbrella. So we've all used an umbrella, so it works to keep Scott dry, and then all of a sudden all of the rain is like pouring down on top of Bill and I.
You jerks put me over there. I was just giving a little bit back. That's all.
Whatever. You're the only one appropriately dressed. Bill had all of his computers, and he's like trying to do stuff, and you're like, I've got this solved. Here's my umbrella. Bleep. Yeah.
Suddenly I feel bad. Suddenly. Didn't feel bad before.
Just now. Good.
But it also, to go along with that, it set up a situation which I also enjoyed, where it really meant that only the way the mic's set up is that really two of us would stay at home, and then one was able to roam around. We had one mic that had enough range that we could roam around, which I kind of liked as well. It was sort of like everybody got their turn to go run around and
in the rain.
call the race from the track. Yeah, it's sometimes in the rain. But that was kind of good too, and I think that really gave us this opportunity, much like the racers do, to really learn the track in the days leading up to the weekend. So by that time, you really knew it back and forth.
All true.
It was really good. Go ahead, Scott. Sorry.
Oh, I was just saying, how many times do you get to walk down and sit in a giant Adirondack chair and announce a bike race from it? That was my favorite seat. Giant.
I couldn't get up in the Adirondack chair.
Bill had no problem. He was like, I'm right at home.
Yeah,
Bill's
nice.
like, finally, they've got a chair that's built for people my size.
I wasn't eating my knees for once. So it was great.
Oh, good times.
It was a lot of fun up there. If people could watch a live cam of what goes on, not just with us, but like you said, there's the timing people and the officials that are up there, and some of the conversations go on. I'd watch it. It'd be hilarious.
Yeah,
a lot of fun.
It's definitely its own little reality show. Up there.
Kudos.
Yeah,
we said it many, many times. They assembled an excellent crew. It was a very well-oiled crew, and they got everything right and super professional. It was awesome.
Well, and like, how did they get? I'm still convinced that there was some black magic involved, because I was like, I can't read these numbers. Everybody's covered in mud, and there's, here comes a group of 10 single speeders, and they all clearly just took a mud bath together. I get that you're wearing 4 different numbers, but it was really hard to see. And I felt like the officials and the one to go folks, they just did a great job, and they stayed calm. And, it was adverse conditions. They could have freaked out and lost their minds and gotten stressed out, but they all just worked so well together.
I agree.
And it was really great.
Now, when you say there were adverse conditions, does that mean that it's at an angle and you're going against it?
That's, can we discuss this, Scott?
Yes.
I feel like this is intervention time.
Oh,
Are
no.
there really adverse cambers?
Do you watch?
Can it just be off? I do watch it, and I know where you're getting it from.
Anthony McCrossan, adverse cambers.
Look,
he's right.
Look, at some point in time, I actually was like, so does that mean that they're like positive or friendly cambers? Because you have adverse cambers? Like, what's the opposite of adverse?
You've lost
I did
your
look
way.
it up. No, know. You've lost your way. This is America. We call it off camber. All right.
Still calling it adverse cambers.
So
Bill started calling it adverse cambers, and he looked at me like,
Bill,
I don't even know why.
Bill, you're neutral third party here. You're neutral third party. We need a ruling.
Bill, don't you let me down.
Well, I'm looking. So synonyms would be unfavorable,
I like unfavorable
disadvantageous.
cambers.
How about inauspicious?
Ooh. No, because people
anybody
like
calls
me
them
watching would be like,
inauspicious.
all right, now I need to look up what inauspicious means.
Oh,
And they'd say,
whatever.
see, adverse camber.
I like unlucky cambers.
Ooh.
There you go. They were.
So
some
here's my
unlucky cambers.
Here's my question for you, though,
Katie
Scott.
Compton's never met one of those, ever.
Unlucky in Kentucky cambers.
Right.
Here's my question for you. You've gone with adverse cambers. I'm staying neutral on that.
Oh,
Switzerland.
fence rider. Fine. Fine.
But speaking of riding fences,
Okay.
you don't call them hurdles,
No.
but that would be that's what McCrossan does as well. There are adverse
Does he?
cambers and there's hurdles.
Well, I don't agree with everything that he says. I'm just paying homage to him. I call them adverse cameras, but I think it's more fun than calling them off cameras.
I think having three announcers that have all agreed on saying planks we have pushed forward
Yes.
that terminology into the usage, I'm hoping.
Yeah.
And that's one, that I think actually, it's sort of, so Julie's gonna like this.
Wormholes they're forever.
Right.
You can
Well,
find
the
them
reason
everywhere.
that the adverse camber came up is because you were saying adverse conditions, so it was the same word for two different things. So that's
Right.
but that's not as confusing. You can tell the difference between adverse conditions and adverse cambers. But the reason that we use planks is because barriers,
Planks of
which
wood, right?
seem to have the terminology that we use in the U.S. is the same, especially at bigger races when it's just not all tapes and stakes. That there are the metal barriers down the sides of the track, so it's confusing which barriers you're talking about sometimes.
I agree with that.
Can
And
we
sometimes I'll call them barriers on accident, but I prefer planks.
Yeah,
Can we go down a different wormhole?
please.
So, since we have three announcers on here, every now and then, I like to use the ladies and gentlemen, get your hands and feet.
Oh, I was just
And
thinking
I
of
can't.
this.
This bothers me. I'm like, if you're
you
telling
went back
them
and
to
forth
get
between
there
inside and outside.
inside and outside the barriers, because you're like, it's inside would be the course. I guess it should just
Ooh,
be
interesting.
outside.
Right.
Ladies and gentlemen, keep your hands outside of the barriers.
Yeah, I think outside.
I just need to come up with a whole different phrase. That's it.
Yeah,
That
I think
catchphrase is dead to
outside.
me.
Outside
It's
is
so funny because I literally thought, well, I should bring that up. No, that's another wormhole.
Yeah,
I'm gonna go down.
wormhole. Sorry, Bill.
no.
You wanted
I
to
like
talk
this.
about
Don't
nationals.
apologize. This is the meat of why people tune out.
Good. You're doing a perfect job when
I
people
think
fast forward.
I think outside, because that would be to use a sensitive phrase, the field of play.
Oh.
We're not getting into that. I'm just saying that's what it would be.
All right. I like outside.
Yeah.
There you go, Julius. Oh, well, now wait a minute. Now you chose sides there with me. Thank you.
I chose outside.
But which is my side? But you won't
Scott,
choose the other one?
Scott, he chose sides. He just did it in a diplomatic way to make your feelings less hurt. He clearly chose sides.
Less hurt.
That's right.
Still hurt,
He's very
but less
sensitive,
hurt.
Bill. He's very sensitive.
I do like adverse camber.
Thank
I
you.
will say.
That's
But-
two.
but
I'm
it's
two
not-
for two, Jules.
It's not one that I think I is in my lingo comfortably, like Planks has become.
Yeah. What about Julie? Not that I'm keeping
geez.
track, but I do have 2 tick marks now under Scott on my piece of paper in front of me. Bill.
Yes.
No, Julie. What do you call the area where the riders ride their bikes in cyclocross? What is the whole thing that they race on called?
The course?
Ooh, Bill, what do you call it?
I call
The
it the track.
Oh, there's 3 for Scott. That's 3 for Scott. Bill and I are on track.
Oh my
On course.
God. Oh. I wonder if Bill would make you sleep on the couch tonight.
What do you call that thing I sleep at night, Bill?
Floor? Plank.
Oh, funny.
Woo.
Sorry.
Good times.
I feel all right, Bill.
Yeah.
Where are we at?
I have no idea. I
don't either.
I feel like we've covered the ins and outs of announcer lingo.
Announcer and infrastructure.
Well, we did. So I said, I'm like, it'd be really fun if people got to see what happens up in the booth when we're not on mic. And I think they just got a really good sneak peek of exactly what was happening when we weren't talking on the microphone last week. Maybe.
Yeah, I'm not even gonna bring up the thing I brought up that just threw everything into chaos for the first day or so.
Well, I feel like you'd have to now.
What was it? I wasn't there for the first.
I don't know either.
Oh, I don't know if I want to bring it up right now.
Okay. Just earmark it
You're
and
so
later on be like,
coy.
this is that thing that I said I wasn't going to bring up.
You guys both missed it. See, that's how much it just gets into your ear and you don't even hear it.
Oh, did you do it right now?
I did do it right now.
Oh, no. No. Double no. That's what I need is someone walking up at the end of the next event with a tick sheet. That's what I need. You know how many times you said now today, Scott?
I am outing all of us right now.
Right now.
Uh-huh.
Oh my gosh.
Here is your drinking game, cyclocross friends.
How many times they say right now?
For the next time you attend, and this is not just Julie or Scott or myself, because I noticed it throughout the season, hearing many different announcers and also on TV. Just drink every time the race announcer says right now.
Oh, Bill, I'm so sinister, though, because if this catches on, I am going to say it constantly.
You already do.
And I'm gonna work a side job with Uber, and I'm gonna make a lot of money. Like, this is easy for me right now.
It's gonna be Uber right now.
That's right. And I'm like $1 for every Uber ride. I'm gonna make $100.
Yeah,
easy. Well, what am I supposed to say when something's happening right in front of you? Am I supposed to say, in a moment? This is going on in a moment.
Those may be words that just don't need to come out of your mouth.
It's
I
impossible.
entirely agree.
But it's hard, and that's
impossible.
the thing. But it's part of the cadence, and it's part of how we, I think, probably from people we listened to before, it just is one of those ticks that everyone has, and it's a connector from one piece of action to the next. But it is when it just started to hit my brain, I was like, wow, that just happens a lot. But
the funniest thing is, to expand upon what we're talking about, it is when we said right now as part of our announcing thing, and I went out once and you were keeping tally for me, and I came back and specifically said to you, I did not say it one time, and you showed me the sheet, and it was like 5 times.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, I never heard myself say it, and I tried not to say it, and it just happened. That blew me up because I'm like, wow, human brain, scary thing.
On the plus side, since we've gotten over that, I do want to say, and it's patting, well, I'm patting you all on the back. You guys had some of the highest pressure, I would say, finish line calls of your careers, especially because they were not, especially for the elite races. I think it's easier if it is in the heat of the moment and you have an extremely close race to call a finish, because you are just, your head's not in it and you're just calling the action as it happens, and it makes it exciting and you know how to describe what's going on in a race. When you have a minute or 2 or 5 or 3 laps to think about it, I would say it's more difficult. And I believe, you called the men's. I believe Julie called the women's just for the final stretch down there, and they were awesome. I think I got chills for both as I was, was running around with my camera. So that was nice. People don't think about it, but I think that is a high pressure situation, especially for everybody with their iPhones and me with my other camera, that is going to be memorialized. And to add to that, and then I will actually stop talking, when I'm going back and doing my highlight videos, and this has happened a couple times already, usually I like having the sounds of the race, but I will put it lower in the mix, and then if I have music or something else, I'll put that above it. So you hear it, it's down there, but it's not dominant. You all did such a great job that I was just like putting it up, and I think it told the story better of the things that I've already done, because it was just, I think that there are 3, I think 2 might be out there, and 1 I'm doing for somebody else that I was like, oh, well, this is perfect. And I think it, nice. I have you up louder in there because it just adds so much of it. So that doesn't happen a lot with race announcers out there. So, but you all just, you nailed it.
Oh, well, that's very kind of you to say that.
Yeah, thanks, Bill. That's very nice. Now, we talked about in the past. We've announced collectively many hundreds of bike races and maybe thousands of finishes. Right? It's a tough job, and I appreciate that because we work hard on those things. We talk about things that you're going to say. That a lot of that stuff comes from hard work and research. So it's nice to hear that it's appreciated.
Yeah. All right.
We don't just
Let's
up there
get down to business.
Out, right?
Yeah. We are going to go through these races. I promised that, but I put out there a call for questions from our listeners.
Yeah.
And we got a few back. Elliott Caldwell, the cheat, always in with some good questions. I'm going to go through a couple of his that he has for you all.
Wonderful.
Okay.
Awesome.
We're going to get into some racing. We know about the elite races that happen, and we'll sort of move both U23s and the junior 17-18 races, and then the elite races sort of out of the picture. And then for the rest of the races that happen, favorite amateur race.
Oh, I've got potentially more than one, but I'll go really
That's
fast.
Fine.
Me too.
Can I go really fast? Okay.
Wait, when you're saying any of the championship races that weren't Sunday? Is that what we mean by amateur races?
I would just say I would take the I mean, how should we do this? We can I guess
that's tough, right?
Yeah, well, let's just take the men's and women's elites off the table.
Okay, gotcha. Men's and women's elites. Gotcha. Oh, wait. So now
that opens it up.
Like
that opens it up more.
That's so many. Hold on.
One? So, that's like asking Julie to only talk for 3 minutes. It's impossible.
I got 3 minutes. It's going to be impossible because you won't stop talking. So 3 minutes. All right. The first race that I saw getting there on Thursday was the women's Masters 35-39. I'm going to call it like my favorite lap, because it was like Suzanne Snyder had been off the front forever. It looked like it was really clear. And then Holly Levesser had like this amazing last lap where she was able to catch up to Suzanne and pass her and took the win. And it was just like, it was such great racing. And it, to me, it was like, oh, okay, here it is. We're at Nationals. Somebody's going to go off the front and then they're going to win. Okay. And that was not the story for this Nationals at all, ever. And even on Thursday, where I felt like, it was like ripping fast on Thursday. Like Sammy Runnels was like crushing it in the collegiate women's race. Like I could barely watch some of the descents that she was taking, because it was so fast and she was railing the corner so hard. So conditions totally different. But to me, the story for Cyclocross Nationals in Louisville is like, you just don't know what's going to happen. And the racing was outstanding. So that was my number one. My number two, I hope nobody's actually keeping track of my time. Masters men, 50 to 54. Oh, and I'm pretty sure Roger Aspholm came in second. And
that's right.
And Don Myra were like back and forth and back and forth. And this is one of the ones where I was sent out. And so I was watching these guys, especially like on the far back side. And it was like Aspholm's out there and he is like crushing the climbs. And Myra was just like taking these chances on the descents. And it was just like whoever, got down and hit the bottom of that final climb first, and then was able to go again at the top. It was just back and forth the entire time. So that one was pretty amazing. I would be remiss if I didn't talk about George Frazier's win, because George is somebody who we see race locally in the OVCX a lot, and he's been like, this kid's been jonesing for a national championship, and he races with all of his heart. And he's a great kid, hangs out with our sons, and he's just, he's so sweet. And it was wonderful to see him win, and to see, a Louisville amateur take that win. And if you don't go and hang out during the relays, you have missed Nationals. That's because
I agree with that.
The Open was so fun, and it was so like what a lot of times people are like, this is what cyclocross is all about. It's just like people going fast and having fun. But then the collegiate was so different, because it was like
nobody having fun here. That was serious business.
They like, I couldn't even believe it. They were all on their rollers warming up. So it was like, I'm ready to go at a moment's notice. Are they over the barriers? I'm going to ride. Sammy Runnels, like, I know I've talked about her already. She like rode the train or the rollers until like her teammate was coming around. And then she like gets off and she just like did a track stand, like, for like 3 minutes. It felt like I was like, she's still track standing. This is insane. And then just took off. They were so intense, and it was so fun, but it was so different from the other relay too.
Well, that and with Aaron's men, in the relay.
Right?
Yeah. So what is, they make this rule that it's 4 laps, right?
Right. 4 laps. 2
and
men,
it has to be
2 women laps.
2 women laps.
It's not 2 women,
right.
and it's not 2 men. It's 2 laps by men,
right.
2 laps by women.
That's
so
right.
the winning
Or
team
woman.
had 2 dudes.
Yep.
And then 1 woman.
Yep.
And she just absolutely crushed it. She won it for them.
Yeah, absolutely.
And they all won it, but that was just amazing effort.
She hammered it.
Yeah.
In the mud.
Yeah.
And dark. It was getting dark too.
Right. That was the one. Right? That was the one I wanted everybody to have headlamps on.
Right.
All right.
So those are my top
7
was your
one.
races.
Nice job picking the one.
The racing was so good that it's
I agree.
it's impossible for me. Like there wasn't, we've all been to cross races where you're like, and here comes your leader.
3
And
minutes
if you
off
look
the front of
way
second
down the
place.
track, you could see second place.
And
Make
And if
sure
you
you
look
get
way
those
down the track.
Make sure you get
Right?
those bikes out of the pit. And
Right?
somebody lost some car keys. I think I have them up here.
Exactly. But there wasn't any, like, to me, it didn't feel like there were ever races that, where it was like that. I mean, it was just so exciting, all week long.
Yeah.
All right, Scott, do you have a favorite
You want me
race?
to go next?
Yeah,
I have a lot
go.
of favorite races, and I'm trying to decide. I'm not going to talk about two, but I'm going to mention them. Sarah Sturm is awesome and
Yes.
hammered
Yeah,
the
she
single
is.
speed race
Yes.
and had
Crushed
the
it.
best attitude ever. And her dad was there and was super excited. So I'll just say that. Jake Wells, come from behind, winning the single speed was awesome. But my race of the week would have to be, this is 6 days of racing. Lauren Zerner winning the 15 to 16-year-old after being, fifth place with 1 lap to go or something like that, and just crushing the final lap to win that. Wasn't even on our radar with 1 lap to go. I was like, I don't know. I could be wrong, but she was so far back for so long. I don't even know where she came from. She won the bike race. It was awesome. I loved it.
So I was out on that one too, and I think they only did 2 laps in that race.
Okay,
That's another.
so that
that's
makes sense.
another.
That's what she wasn't
another
around
topic.
with 1 lap to go.
So
right?
the first lap, like when they were going up the climb up to pit 2, like the leaders were on the front and they're like jogging and, like doing what they can to get up that hill. She was walking. And
Really?
like her posture to me, I was like, oh, that's rough. Like she's clearly like decided this is not her race. And so then you guys, I like send it up to you and you guys call them coming through. And then I'm waiting to see where I can see the race come, like the front of the race comes through again. And there she is. And I'm like, oh man, I must have missed the leaders. Like, and I literally like start looking at people around me and they're like, yeah, we don't know either. And then all of a sudden, like you look back and you're like, oh my gosh, not only has she passed them, but she has dropped everyone.
Yeah.
It was really, that was amazing. Good call.
We've watched her race so many times over the last 2 years, I'll say. And she just has so much power and expressive racing. I love watching her race. Like I said, she races a ton and we get to see her a lot. And I was happy for her, number one, but number two, it was that come from behind win that was just amazing. It's the never say die attitude of cross. Like you said, Julie, she looks like she's out of it, wins the bike race. That's such pure talent at that young age that it's going to be exciting to watch her continue to race.
Yeah, and she's just a fun person.
She is.
Right? Like,
aside from that, yes, she's just all of the Zerners are,
right?
but yeah, she's cool.
Yeah.
Sorry,
Bill,
Bill.
did you have a favorite?
I'm in the same boat. I had several.
Right? I mean, I could go on, but I'm not going to.
I think you already mentioned Sammy, but Runnels winning the collegiate and Dan Chabanov winning a national championship.
That was cool to see.
And then I'm blanking our name.
Which race was it?
Kirk.
Oh, Kirk White?
Yes, another Philadelphia. Oh, man.
What was that, the 35 to 39? I can't remember.
No, that was
I'm sorry.
30 to 34.
Tyler, right?
Baby Masters?
Baby Masters.
Taylor Cook-White.
There you go.
Taylor
Right.
Cook-White. I still want to say
Yeah, you
Cook.
never guess
Taylor
that.
Kirk-White.
Was it K-Y-U-K?
Yeah.
Kirk.
So
It's
that
pronounced
pair,
Kirk.
just that Philadelphia crew, very, very excited for them. One of my...
I know what...
Yeah?
I know what your favorite race of the weekend was. I bet it was a 13 to 14-year-old young ladies race.
I definitely am going to be a homer on these. But I will start with the Wittwer family.
Oh, I had that on my top list, dad and son.
Yep. So Fred Wittwer, who's won national championships in the past, winning another. But the great story there is that his son, who's been trying forever, Gregg Wittwer, who we saw a lot of in the Mid-Atlantic and just had just a spectacular year. I mean, really just coming into this year just really fit and really fast, and was able to just put it all together in a just super competitive 35 to 39 field. I mean, that's a lot of guys who are still putting in lap times that are right up there around the elite level. So for him to take the win there was just really, really, really great to see, and a joy for me to be able to call that race. So that was, just the whole story. He basically, he's a full-time teacher, high school teacher, and he just trains inside and then gets to go outside and race. And
oh my gosh.
And his wife Erin started a fit and spin studio, and she basically coached him and made him work on all of his weaknesses that he didn't want to do, which he did this year, and it all paid off. So that was amazing to see. And
that's fun.
Watching Adam Meyerson ride around after winning a championship with his kid on his handlebars, always just a great sight to see. But
do you want a sidebar on that one? The rest of the story? No, not a sidebar. Rest of the story. So he's won that race 3 times, right?
Right.
In that age, that's the 45 to 49 age group, right?
Yep.
Saw him the day after, and I said, "So, are we done? Or are we going to keep going?" And he said, "Well, I would have told you if I didn't win today that I was done. But now that I've won 3, his new goal, hopefully it doesn't kill me for sharing this, he wants to sweep the 45 to 49 age group so that he hits every single year of eligibility, wins a championship." That's pretty cool. What a cool goal that is, right?
Yeah.
There's some guy that is his same age that's out there like
me. That's
Meyerson.
Me. Literally the reason why I don't race it. He is my age.
And that's what he was saying this year, that, with Brandon Dwight in there, who he hadn't raced against before in a national championship. And he truly was worried about that. Yeah. And that was, he wasn't certain that was going to happen until he crossed the line.
No.
But I think that I would be remiss not to put at the top of my list the women's 13 to 14-year-old won by Ella Brennenman, who races for CXR's Devo, and just being able to be part of that whole experience from starting the team with Chris Merriam and Taylor Jones, and being able to support just wonderful racers like Owen and Ella Brennenman and Catherine Sarkisov and Libby Sheldon. It was awesome, and to have that top it out was just
Let's see, what day was that on? Was that Friday?
That was Saturday.
Was it Saturday?
Yeah,
Saturday.
That was
Saturday.
That was like, I'm gonna tell out of school stories here of both of you. Between the 3 of us, I think we collectively cried 23 times that weekend for various winners.
So
and at some point, I looked at Bill after the Brenneman win. He goes, "I didn't think it was going to affect me like this." But you're super proud, right?
Yeah. Oh, for sure. Just
awesome.
For the whole, for her for sure, but just for the whole experience of doing that, and then seeing what I saw a little bit about, but hearing later, just I didn't spend a lot of time in the Mid-Atlantic this year locally, but to see how strong that community still is in cyclocross, and just from the CXR's Devo camp and the Vanderkitten and Van Dessel and the Haymarket and Bike Kinetic and they all just kind of found each other and were supporting. And I know that my guys for TXR's Devo and our friends that came up were just pitting for everyone. I mean, they must have pitted like every race that week, just supporting everyone out there that came from the Mid-Atlantic or wherever. I mean, we were supporting people from California. It didn't matter, and that was I know that I end up saying it every year, but it's always good to end the season on nationals because it always sort of gives me that, that feeling like, all right, we're doing all right.
The family's going to be okay,
yeah,
right?
Everything,
right? All the warm fuzzies.
Everything's
I agree
good.
with you.
But of all of that, including that great, accomplishment for our little team, I think the race that I was most impressed was, I got to get her name right. I know her last name is Rossi. Collegiate club title.
Collegiate club.
Jane Rossi.
Jane Rossi.
Yeah.
Oh, she was amazing.
Yeah.
She was leading this race, had a mechanical, had to switch bikes, lost the lead, got a new bike, had 2 mechanicals with that bike, is sitting there fixing her bike right before the limestone steps and gets passed. And well, actually, she was about to get past, and she actually ran while she was fixing her bike and trying to get her chain out of her rear derailleur, like working on it while running, and to preserve, or limit her losses and back on when able to pass. But it was just such an amazing race to watch. I mean, it just that's kind of everything you want to see. Especially, I was thinking back to all those times that we see these pros, reaching over their bikes and not really knowing what to do. Here is a woman who is a bike mechanic, and she it took her a minute, but she didn't panic. She didn't get pissed off. She didn't throw her bike. She just sort of concentrated, was able to figure out what's going on, reroute everything, get it back up and running, got back on her bike and won the race. It just made me so happy.
That is awesome. And I think she raced the elite race later on the weekend.
She did,
too.
and I think she did I think she had a pretty good result in that one too.
Top 20.
Yeah.
Top 20, yep.
That's pretty amazing.
That's awesome. I want to add more to my list, but I'm not going to.
Oh, go. You can. What else you want to say?
Caleb Swartz winning the collegiate varsity.
Yeah.
Mostly because he's just a fine young man. And he's absolutely dedicated to the craft. Comes from the Swartz family that are just these excellent people. And to see what it meant to him, his sister was there. And that was pretty amazing. I just thought it was great to see him win that. He was very proud, and he's worked very hard for that.
Yeah, for sure. That was a good one. You guys, before we get to elites, here's another question for you. Two-parter. Yeah. Best.
Are you ready, Julie?
I'm ready.
Okay.
Best course feature, and then most underrated or most one that sort of jumped out as being difficult when you didn't think it was going to be that difficult course feature.
Excellent. Who's going first?
Well, I went first last time. You should go ahead.
We should go reverse order. Bill.
Oh,
Me?
there you go, Bill.
Yeah. All right.
I mean, you don't have to. It's your show. You can be like, no, that's not how this works.
Here is what I just from a visual perspective. It was interesting because we came into it and made a big deal about the sand pit and like the keyhole, which was such a cool feature the year before, and just from where we were situated this year, and then also just how the venue played out. I don't think either of those really stuck in my mind as being that big of a deal. I think the sand actually got pretty compacted and people were flying through it without any problem. What I liked just from a spectator sense was that entire bowl. That you could just go from spot to spot. If you were a fleet of foot, you could see the race go down the descent from pit 1, run to the hill, watch them go up the tricky off camber and up the limestone steps, The other one and then run back where you came from and watch them climb up the final climb. And again, what the thing that I think that you would skip in that is the drop, the big descent that last year was by far the most exciting place to watch because it was just fast and people were getting air and it was just like crazy. Now it was just I think it was still difficult, but it wasn't that had to see part. And then so you'd run back, and then what I really liked was that area up that went up along the fence, that first climb before the penultimate climb. I really liked that. It was such different tiers. It was really exciting to watch, and you could see the accordion effect of racers coming together and then going, getting that gap again. And we were never really sure what the gap was because it was like F1 racing, when you have like this 2-second gap and then they get into a turn and they're, bumper to bumper and then it widens out again. It sort of had that effect. So you really weren't, the gaps always changed. And then I think that the most underratedly difficult, and I'd be interested to see if we're all thinking the same thing, was just that descent out of pit 1. That seemed like it was going to be nothing and just turned into this crash zone that if you, were able to rail the turn and had the right pressure and had the right tire and had the right amount of skill. I mean, I'm thinking back to people like Sarah Sturm, who, has this great mountain bike background, and she basically won that single speed race on that descent because she was going twice as fast as anybody and just stayed upright the whole time. And Compton with her 11 psi doing 11.5 psi, excuse me, doing the exact same thing. But then a lot of people with a lot of issues on that descent. So I think that was the one that we didn't think coming into this championship was going to give people that much difficulty.
You see people headed down into that. You could tell by their posture sort of in the first third of that downhill what the outcome was going to be almost every time.
Absolutely.
They went down like, I'm going to die. And you could see it in their posture. And at the end, they would just yard sail it and felt bad for them.
Well, and I went down there during the collegiate men's varsity race after having watched it during the collegiate men's club race.
Unbridled confidence.
Absolutely unbridled confidence.
You said collegiate men. That's what I think.
That's right. It was on full display on that descent. And it was one of those things where you were watching through your fingers because you're like, you should have taken it slower. You can start to see their front end sort of like getting out of control. And then they would like hit the ground and slide. And then it was like a domino. There'd be like one and then another and another. So I don't know. Like to me, Bill, it doesn't seem we knew that section was going to get, maybe not like it was, which was like, I mean, Scott said it all weekend long, like a giant slip and slide. I mean, that's all it was. You were like, I hope I don't fall. Good luck, everybody, as you're going down it. I felt like that was one that we sort of knew like a little bit of rain could really make that change up a lot because it was taped pretty tight with some corners down there. And amazingly, those corners got wider and wider as the weekend went on. But I totally agree that that whole bowl section, it was amazing. And it was so great from a spectator perspective because it had these great features in it that you could go and watch. But then all you had to do was really like look up and you could still see some more of the race. And so often we get these really cool features that you're like, you've got to go, back in the woods and take a right past the oak tree. And then you'll see them for, 8 seconds as they fly down this hill. And so this one, I thought it was really cool from that perspective. They put a lot of neat features in a big area. What I thought was what turned into the most underrated feature that got a lot of people was that transition from the pavement into the mud at the finish line. And what people didn't realize, and you wouldn't if you were, when you're just pre-riding, you're like, I'm sort of just going to ride through the middle, was that right side. There was clearly, there were clearly ruts underneath, like hard ruts underneath like sludgy mud. So it looked like you were just going to go through a section of like, warm peanut buttery mud. And it was just like ejecting people out of their bikes. And I mean, it was almost nail biting at every start, because you were like, oh, watch that right side, because somebody's getting tripped up in it.
Jared Nieder's just stopped listening.
Yeah, right.
I'm sorry, Jared. He spent some time in that mud.
Yeah.
There.
Yeah, I think people
He wasn't
were,
the only one.
No, he certainly wasn't. And
certainly not.
He may have had some help, but yeah, he definitely did as somebody put it, a good Pete Rose impersonation.
No, sorry, Jared.
But hey, you know what?
Hey.
You know what? He got up, finished top 10.
That's true.
That's right.
Hammered it out.
I mean, my favorite was still Arlie Kemmerer hitting that same spot, her bike flipping over. She's like 6 feet away from it, and her bike literally sticks straight up in the mud, like straight up. Like it didn't move. It was like, it was upright, and it just stayed there. And it was like, and she looks at it, and you could see the look in her eyes, like
waiting for it to fall, right?
Me?
And
like,
it never
what?
fell.
And like she collects herself and like gets up, and then like, pops her bike out of the mud and goes.
It was the new Feedback Sport prototype mud stand.
Mud stand.
Yeah, right.
Suction there forever until you release it.
So many engineers involved in the creation of that. Civil engineers, but
yeah.
All right, I'll jump in with my difficult when people didn't think it was going to be. So, and on Monday when I rode the course on the backside, there's after they come up the limestone steps and sort of go across the back and then switch back down, then there was this long 180-degree switchback. And we were calling it the Namur kick push section because it turned into one big rut on both sides that you couldn't seem to get the 180 right. And if you watch the pros, and we go all the way through the elite women and the elite men, both sets could not get that right lap after lap. Curtis White would get it right and then get it wrong. Stephen High would get it right and then get it wrong. Katie Compton would get it right and get it wrong. You name it. And so I loved it because it was a section that looked completely innocuous. There was nothing to it. And yet every single person, every single time through there would take a different line and either get it right or get it wrong. And it turned into one of these long kick pushes. But then when that looked like it was going right, somebody would endo into a root or something like that, and it would send everybody skittering off a different direction. So I loved that long 180 on that, sort of broke up that downhill section because nobody could get it right.
You know who got it right?
Who?
Alex Morton.
Oh,
Alex
Morton
was able to ride that, and it was a section that was really it was messing with Magnus Sheffield, because I think it was still at the point of time, like it was early enough in the day that it hadn't like thickened up yet, so there was still sort of a rideable line, and Alex Morton was able to find that, and Magnus Sheffield kept. Like he wanted to ride it,
Yeah, right. Yeah.
But then it was like that. It would end up where he'd like have to stop and get off his bike and run. And because he hadn't really committed to it, like I felt like Alex Morton was able to make up time. And he was the only person that we saw on Sunday who was really able to consistently ride that corner out of everybody.
It's a tough section.
And that was so huge for all of these races, and that was the thing, and I know there has been some a lot of talk on the condition of the track and just all of the races were on there, and if it should have, some other contingency should have been in place for a different track or for the pros. But all of that aside, and I think this would have happened regardless of any other changes that were made. You don't see a lot of races where any mistake, the penalty is so huge. If you had a section that one rider rode clean and one rider just bobbled or put a foot down or had to get off and push, it was like a 15-second penalty every time that happened. It wasn't just oh shoot, bobble, get back on the wheel. It was bobble, and by the time you got on, you got your momentum back, that person was gone. And we saw that in that these gaps just would open up just from these little mistakes, and it was so much a couple things. I think it was riders who had better handling, and then of course just all of the running, and especially the uphill running, and just up and down the roster. You had people saying it was the most difficult race, even from Gage Heck saying how he was cramping with 2 laps to go just because of all of the running, and I think that was the case for most of these racers.
Yeah, Julie, we did a little math on how much running there was per lap, didn't we?
You did. I am.
She doesn't agree with my math.
I'm not auditing his results.
I did math, Bill.
What was your math?
And there's a lot of thought behind it. So I rode the course, and I mapped the course with Garmin, so I know how long the course was. I'm intimately familiar with the sections where they had to run, and I will tell you that my Thomas More math puts the amount of running and I only counted the running sections where it was not humanly possible. It was not Katie Compton possible to ride. You had to get off and run. Somewhere between 13 and 17% per lap. And that's good math. There was about, I'm going to be very gracious here, 400 yards. I'm using yards because I used miles. 400 yards total of running. And that's it per lap. There's so much riding. I saw a stat out there that drove me crazy, that it said that course was 60 to 70% a running course, which is completely not factual in any stretch of the imagination. Just simply not true. And so for those who aren't there, set the record straight. That's not true. It was somewhere around 13, like I said, 13 to 16% running, where you had to run. You simply could not ride a bike. So that's not that bad.
From a distance perspective.
Well, yeah, all the video and all the photos that are coming out, or I shouldn't say all, a lot of it are the really muddy, crashy, dramatic sections. And people look at that and they go, oh my gosh, it was a running race. Everybody ran the entire lap.
Right.
Simply not true.
But from the, for our elite riders, from the moment you got back onto your bike after the planks until the flyover, right? For most of those riders, they're on their bike.
That's right.
So and then up the flyover, back down, and then you're on your bike until
all the way to the bottom of the hill.
Really, until the off camber before I think the elites were riding that too. Really, until the limestone steps. Right.
Well, there was even a run section before that. They would, towards the end of the day, so they'd come down that hill, slip and slide, get to the bottom. There was a short run. Then they would get back on and ride to that uphill right by limestone steps. And then they would have to run all of that. And there were some other sections. I mean, we could do the whole course. But
sure.
No, and still, I get it. 400 yards of running is a lot of running.
Oh, yeah. And it's
from
a
percentage of the course.
Climbs.
It's no 60% of the course. That's not factual.
I think though, Scott, some of what, you're looking at like pure distance and as a percentage of the track. But like, think of it this way too, that like if you climb and descend, a mountain, and you've climbed and descended the same, elevation.
Yeah.
But you spend a lot more time climbing it than you do descending it. And I think that sort of plays out too with running, right? Like, I mean, you're clearly running a lot slower. And so I think
how many minutes per lap are you running?
Yeah, that's what I was trying to get at.
That could be more. Yeah, that's true. That could be more.
I think there's a perception there that it was a lot of running, and I mean, it was a lot of running, but I go back to, like Valkenburg last year.
Oh my gosh.
And, that was a lot of running too. And there was the tracks weren't being moved. The course wasn't moved, even though, I felt like it was torn up immediately. Like it was torn up because of pre-ride.
Literally axle deep ruts on that thing. And there were no amateurs racing that for days before.
Yeah,
it was completely tore up.
Even go back to Beals in the the World Championship there, and the state of that track, and all of the flat tires and the green tires and crashes. And so I see where the criticism was born out of, and they did actually move the track on Sunday to give more grass. I mean, I think part of it was they made some of those changes so late that the women were not able to see some of the changes. So that is that's not a good thing. That's definitely something that needs to be avoided, and they know that.
That's right.
But the insinuation that there was no plan B, that there was no contingency plan in effect for this, that kind of rubbed me the wrong way. Just knowing all the thinking that went into setting up the track, and in retrospect, and seeing the amount of rain that happened and the amount of punishment that the track took, could it have been done a different way? Yeah, I'm sure it could have. I'm sure there could have been, but I think it's difficult to see that in advance. I think that a lot of positive changes were made from the year before at Pan Am's to this year, and then if you kept going, you would continue to hone it in. But the thing is, and this is one of the things that we briefly discussed with Julie and I in this directors meeting for the UCI races, that you don't race at the same place for nationals every year. So you truly do have to reinvent the wheel. We were lucky that we had a year to figure it out this time around, but next year it's Tacoma, and it's going to be, doing the same thing there and hoping to get it right.
Yep. I think they did a phenomenal job with what they had to work with, right?
Yeah.
It's good crew.
And in the end, as somebody mentioned, and I understand that this isn't it's not causal, but it's not like the wrong people won.
Oh yeah, right.
I don't remember who put it out there, but they're like, well, the same people won the year before, and it was in Reno, which couldn't have been more different than this track. So
that was
the quote unquote right people won, the strongest, most experienced, best in fitness,
and it's etc. Right? And part of the complaints are like, you're coming from Reno, which I thought also was a great championship with great racing.
It was awesome.
That had one technical part to it.
That's right.
Which wasn't even that technical. It was just kind of climby, and then it had a fast, sort of, they called it a mountain bike type descent, but it was just, one little kind of section, and you could, if people were like throwing around grass crit for nationals. So there's always going to be a contingency of our cyclocross friends that we're not going to be able to please.
Well, I always say, we travel all over and see all different kinds of tracks, and I always say the same thing is, I'll never complain about a track because I'm there to race what's in front of me, and that's what they do. You get out there and you race what's given to you, and you don't complain about it. It can be grass, it can be gravel, it can be muddy, it can be dry, whatever. That's cyclocross. Race what's in front of you, and that's what the racers did, and put on a great show.
Do you
awesome.
think that do you see any validity? And I'll ask you this, Scott, since you weren't there for the whole debate. Do you see any validity in the elite races being earlier in the day, or even a day before?
Even the day before, I don't know how that can work out. We don't have. I saw somebody else say something like the elite racers should race on their own weekend somewhere. None of that.
Well,
to me
that's just not economically feasible.
It's
right.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I just don't understand it. Do I see the elite? I'll say what my first came to mind was, well, sure, try it next year and see what happens, or try it in 2 years, see what happens. I'm all for check it out, the whole scan, try, scale thing. If somebody thinks it's a good idea and it seems like it'll work, try it out. If it doesn't work, try something different the next year. I don't know the answer to that. Will people stick around? Well, I don't know.
I mean, they'll stick if it's earlier. They will
gonna race their bikes after.
Well, that's the thing. That's the part that
that's the part that can drink beer and run around and get rowdy.
That's the part that concerns me, is that
race their bikes afterwards.
And we've seen that in local series that, for whatever reason, feel like, oh, we need to have people watch their finger quote elite races.
So we're gonna put the Cat 5s last at the end of the day,
right? Which I always think is just punishment to the Cat 5s.
That's right.
And most of the people in the elite race could care less if anybody's watching their race or not on local races. But yeah, then you are taking away, if you're going to travel to a national championship, kind of the culmination of the day for a racer / spectator, or the week, should be getting to see the best in the business do what they do, and you being able to enjoy it, not you being stuck at your team tent riding a trainer because you have to race afterwards. And I think that is not the spirit in which the way we do cyclocross in America was built.
The folks at USA Cycling are extremely intelligent people. They didn't wake up and go, maybe we'll just try this and just see how it goes with no prior knowledge. They're very smart people. There's a reason it's run like it is. It's economics, it's participation, it's spectatorship. I trust that our governing body has thought of all of those things and come up with the best model. I don't know if you guys happen to look up during the elite races, it was stacked with spectators. So seems like it's working.
Yeah.
And I even have posed the question myself, where we do so much comparison of American US cyclocross sort of versus European cyclocross. And we're like, well, in Europe, the elites never do,
Right.
And at some point, I feel like we have to also go, whatever, that's okay. This is not European cyclocross. It's different. It has its own flavor. We certainly know it has its own economics that are very different from what it is like in Europe. And at some point, I think we just acknowledge it. We embrace it. We go, can we learn from European cyclocross? Yeah, absolutely. But it may not be that American cyclocross will ever fit that European cyclocross mold.
Which is okay.
Absolutely.
If it's sustainable.
Yes.
I don't know why we, like you were just saying, I don't know why we hold up the European model and say this is how we need to be if we're not there and it's not sustainable,
And then it's also, and I think the people who are going to arch their backs at that are some of the folks that have earned the right and have worked hard and are racing in this elite race, that they should have the best conditions possible to race. And I understand that. I get that. But I think that they also need to, compromises have to be made. And I will say this for and we'll get to the race. This is a good segue here for somebody who has earned it more than anybody else in this country and came into the year feeling off and feeling not as confident as any years she raced in the past. I didn't hear a peep out of Katie Compton before or after this race about track conditions.
No, we went and talked with her for a while actually, and that she didn't have a complaint at all about the whole situation. So, and well, she shouldn't, because it suited her. It suited her so well.
But even so, but what people would say, well, even though it suited her, it still wasn't. You had all these other people and blah blah blah. But I think that she is somebody that can pull on her experience of racing in the absolute worst conditions, racing at 7:30 or 8 a.m. in the morning when they didn't want to have women races, and they would put them out there before they even groomed the course or did everything else. This is somebody who's lived through all this, who's probably rolling her eyes a little bit about some of these complaints. Possibly,
I would entirely agree. The number of times that they've heard her or Mark say things like, well, you guys should come over and see what it's like in Belgium, or you should, that's a really good point, Bill. Hey, Bill, did we answer all of Elliott's questions?
Let's see. He did want us to get into the $20 per person cover charge. I will just quickly say I thought it was wholly reasonable, especially if you were there multiple days and parked your car basically for free after the Louisville Sports Commission paid for your parking. They paid off the zoo so everybody could park, and they were asking for $20 from everyone on top of, yes, their registration fee, even if you're a spectator, even if you're elite. For the, I'm going to guess, probably if around 40 to 50,000, if not more than that, is the amount of money that the Louisville Sports Commission probably will end up losing on this event. I don't think that we should be complaining about paying something that we've paid at every Nationals I've been to. There's always been some sort of charge. It's never not been that way. I mean, I think that I was surprised when I went to Madison, and especially coming from the Mid-Atlantic, where we never paid for parking, and it was just this big open lot, and there was a guy there taking people's money for the national championship. I was like, okay, I guess this is what we do at national championships, and I never really questioned it since then.
I just go back to what I always do is that if you want a quality event, someone's got to pay for it. And I kind of consider the $20 gate fee the GoFundMe to keep the championships alive. We give money to GoFundMe all the time. You're like, it's GoFundMe. We're trying to pool money together from all of us so that we can keep this thing alive. Things aren't free, and if you don't have big corporate sponsorship, which we'd all love to have, and people are working hard to get, then we all have to chip in a little bit. And nobody's making millions off of this. Nobody.
Right. Nobody, and the other,
except for the announcers.
Oh yeah. Oh boy. Yeah. So is your sorry. The transmission on my new Porsche was sticking a little bit.
Right.
With you all.
Right.
We are on the Lanai in Hawaii right now. So. I'm sitting in my closet actually for sound.
Yeah, I will add, just looking at costs, the other thing, they've already put forth at least $10,000 in remediation for the parks afterwards. That's another cost, it's stuff that they knew they were going to have to do, so that was built into the budget. But again, that's another big cost. The other thing is that I don't think people appreciate going back and looking at the live stream. There was just to explain to people what happened, because I saw a lot of complaints about the first lap of the women's race, and I don't think it was handled correctly. They should have just stayed on the live pictures instead of going to highlights, but they didn't. It was a blackout section of the track, so they tried to cover that time. It was just a couple seconds with highlights from last year that people just flipped out over, and they should have just either gone back to the booth to Brad, Meredith, and Tim, or just shown crowd shots or whatever. And I know that they knew that after it happened the first time, so they weren't trying to shortchange the women's race or anything like that. But just to note that the live stream, other than that little, flip up in the beginning, I thought was pretty spectacular looking, and they did a great job. And that's, again, that is $50,000,
big
$60,000,
money.
$70,000 that is spent on that. And if you saw the operation, if you're not there, it's an enormous semi-trailer. It's miles of cable that they're laying. It's professional production cameras like you're seeing at NFL games. It's not cheap, and there is a decision that goes on every year for USA Cycling, and it's always we can't afford to do the live stream this year. And it always comes down to we need to do it. And they end up spending that money. They end up going into debt to do it. And people complain and they say, well, where shouldn't my annual membership fees be covering this? And the answer is no.
Can't.
No, they really shouldn't.
Can't even come close.
And the membership is dwindling. And we need to, if you like it, it's the kind of thing you gotta continue to support.
I agree. Yeah, I have no complaints about a $20 gate fee, which most people were there for 3 and 4 days. So if you break it down by day, it's even cheaper. I have complaints when you don't know about a fee and you show up and get charged one. And that's happened at past nationals. That was not the case. It was very well written out.
Well, and I think that people were confused going up to it, going up to the event. But to quote Sarah Rodney, one of our officials,
here we go.
Did you read the tech guide?
Did you read the tech guide?
And look, I've written tech guides, and I know that how much fun they are or are not to read. But this had all the information in it, and I literally was on calls with the local juniors team that we support, and with the rest of the board, and we're all like, we don't know. If you bought registration, do the athletes, and we're trying to figure out, and we're like, oh, just somebody pull up the tech guide, and you read the tech guide, and you're like, oh, it's all very clear. Yes, all of us need to have this. So, like, my recommendation to everybody is if you have a question about things like this, and does it apply to you, or what are you going to have to pay for, all of those things are going to be in the tech guide for your national championships, for any UCI event. You're going to have a tech guide out there too. So we all learn and grow from these kinds of experiences.
Yep.
Absolutely. All right. We got to get into some elite races, but before that happens, I have some breaking news.
Oh no. Breaking news.
Breaking news.
Can we guess, or are you just going to tell us?
No, yeah, guess.
Just tell us.
All right, just tell us.
Oh, I hate guessing.
I have no idea.
The name of the creature on the coffee.
Cyclocross Friends.
On the Cyclocross Friends espresso that you can get at grimperbrothers.com or at wideanglepodium.com. It's Alex got back to me, and she says that it's a 100% drive side dismount, so that's one thing to be noted.
Wow.
And the creature's name is Kevin Paws, Paws.
Paws. Oh, is that like a shout out to Kevin Powell's?
Yeah.
Oh, right on.
So awesome.
Because
It's
like dirty side dismount.
It's kind of like a feline creature.
Does he get third a lot?
Probably.
Last 4 years ago, 3 years ago. When was that, Kevin? That's right.
Kevin's place. When you said dirty side dismount, I fell down in my mind.
You fell down.
You ever try to get off your bike at a high speed on the dirty side? You'll fall over the first time. Trust me.
Unless you train for it.
You have to train for it, or you just have to be K-Pow.
I'm sorry. Yeah.
I challenge both of you to
I'm not
at
doing
race
it.
pace dirty side dismount without trying first.
Well, I mean, at this point, my race pace would not be challenging to get off. So
right, that's what I was thinking. You know that we are on a high deductible plan, sweetheart.
Oh yeah, okay, so don't do that. Not on the concrete. Don't do it on the concrete.
Yeah.
All right.
Speaking of that, I think we have to really, again, because for people who weren't there to hear it in person, the line of the week from the announcing stage from Julie Herrmann.
Uh-oh.
was.
I don't remember.
You just said it.
Wait.
Right now?
Right
Riding
now.
like they don't have a deductible.
Oh,
Riding
that's right.
like they don't have a deductible. Well, you added a very close second to that one, Bill.
Oh no, I was just playing off of. No. Julie gets all the credit.
She said those kids are riding like they don't have deductibles, and you said what? They said, yeah, they're riding like it's insured.
They're riding their bikes like they're insured. Ride it like it's insured.
Ride like a rental.
That's awesome.
So terrible.
I felt so bad after I used that for the collegiate women, and then the collegiate men showed up the next day, and it was all rainy, and you're like, oh, they really are riding it like that. Those guys, like testosterone fueled. Lack of care.
Oh, jeez.
All right, I'm gonna do my best.
Where are we going with that?
I'm doing my best, Scott Dienbach, right now. All right, the U23 women's national championship race. This was wow. They don't break it out on the UCI, so we'll have to.
No, I looked it up on the.
Okay,
on
just to make
CX
sure
magazine.
that Pete Weber is kept satisfied.
You can do the U23. I'll do the 17-18.
Okay,
How's
and rightfully so. We're going to break out 17 and 18. But here are your top five for the U23 in the women. In fifth place, Hannah Arnsman. Fourth place was Madigan Monroe. In third place, Sophie Russenberger. Second place, Katie Klaus. And the winner, Clara Hansinger, who I crushed it all year long. I mean, if they're absolutely deserved champion, she was on so many podiums and winning races at the elite level that to come back to the U23 definitely deserved that championship.
Yeah, I agree with that. It was a double up, right? She won the Pan Am and showed us that she's not a one hit wonder and won the national championship too. It's amazing.
Yeah. So take us through that 17-18 as well.
Well, I'm going to disappoint you right away because
Okay.
I don't have who was in fifth place.
That's okay. We can just do top three.
Okay. Oh, I got top four.
Okay.
So fourth place was...
I know
what?
who was in fifth. Wasn't Ellie Dias in fifth place?
Okay. Elliott Dias in fifth place.
Fifth place, Midwest
Sorry.
Evo.
I just didn't print out that. I didn't have it. I'm sorry.
Right.
I could do it here,
I'm here to
actually.
help you.
1,
Ill-prepared.
2... Yeah, no, that's correct. 3,
Fifth place, Elliott
4,
Dias.
5. Yeah.
Fourth place, Julian von der Hagen. Third place, Meredith Serpina, which, fun fact for Meredith Serpina, in 365 days, she grew 6 1/4 inches.
Whoa.
Yeah. Her dad went through a lot of bikes in the last year. He's very acutely aware of her growth. And second place was Madigan Monroe, which, Julie, I think you know a little bit of something about her, right?
I do. This is Madigan's very first year of racing cyclocross.
Wow, she was 4th overall as well.
Right.
Yeah, crushing it.
Boulder Junior Cycling.
One of the Boulder guys came up to me and was like, "Keep an eye out on Madigan. She's going to do really well today." And he was right.
Do you know any of her athletic background? Did they mention? I don't know.
I don't know.
Not her first time playing sports.
But there was definitely this is her first year of racing cyclocross. There was an emphasis on that. So, and she said she loved it. I asked her afterwards, and she said that she's having a blast, and she will absolutely be back. So I will say she's absolutely somebody we're going to be keeping our eyes on in the coming years.
Excellent. And first place, junior women's, 17, 18-year-old, and your 2021 elite women's champion, Katie Klaus.
Oh.
I was like, how do you know, Scott?
It's just a good guess. You just set the
hilarious.
trajectory, and that's where it's headed.
Here's my question for you. What number national championship is that for Katie Klaus?
Oh.
And does she have... I don't know if I know the answer to this. My other question is, does she have more national championship jerseys than years?
Well, that's
yes
is the answer to that. I know that because she is a 21-time national champion. She's a 5-time junior national champion. And her national championships span road, cyclocross, and mountain bike. So yes, she definitely has more jerseys than she is old because she's only racing age 17.
Isn't that just insane?
True. Absolutely insane.
I can't even wrap my head around that.
Right? Crazy. She's fast one. You wouldn't know it. She's not like running around telling people how fast she is. She's very quiet, and then she just hammers it out.
I completely, at a snowshoe 2 years ago, I completely trolled her in my post-race interview and asked her if she had ever won a national championship before, and just the look on her face, like trying to be very, but also like, you're kind of an idiot.
She's like I said, 2021 Elite Women's National Champion.
All right, I'm not gonna bet against it.
I'm being generous. I mean, that's 2 years, two national championships away. So,
there are many women out there that would disagree with you, but I'm not gonna. Yeah. All right, Julie.
Fair.
Let's talk about the men's U23. I'm going to give you the top 5. 5th place was Lance Haydet. 4th place was Nick Lando. 3rd place, Eric Brunner. 2nd place, Brandon Fix. And on the top step, Spencer Petrov. Thoughts on this race?
This one, it hits both Scott and I, like right square in the feels because, I don't know. Can we say that we grew up racing cyclocross with Spencer Petrov?
I wasn't going to cry on Sunday and did on this one.
And then, he cried. Cried so many tears. I mean,
is that unprofessional? That's not unprofessional.
No, that's you know what, we're not officials. We are paid to be passionate about the sport, I think. And that was a race of passion. I mean, that was such a great event with like the races. If we look at Brunner and Fix, I mean, really, they both had really strong, I'm going to call it like last laps too, strong races. But, for us, we started racing cyclocross about the same time that Spencer did in the same area. And so for us to see him take another national championship, especially after the year that he's had, it was amazing. It was really great.
And also, so if people don't know, early on, even right before Trek, so the early season, training, went down in training, hit his head, had a concussion, had really pretty severe side effects from that. We saw him at Trek walking around with his noise canceling headphones and sunglasses on, and really just took him a long time to get back to where we have seen him in the past, even to the point that in the last couple elite races that I saw Spencer at NBX, where I think he had a good race, but he's still, in the top 10. And then even more telling was the week before down in Ruts and Guts. And that's a race that, we'll talk about Gage later, but Gage Heck wins, but right up at the front of that race, the first lap leader was Denzel Stevenson. Eric Brunner was right up there as well. Mm-hmm. Brandon Fix was up there. I mean, all of these.
Haydet was up towards the front in the beginning.
Yeah, Haydet was up there. So all of these guys who he is, racing against. Cooper Wilsey had such a great year. I think he did great for your guys' Julie, your weekend with Cincy. So some really, really tough competition that he was not always battling it out at the front of those races that these other guys were. So just, that's what really impressed me, that this to complete this comeback and do it at the right time. And just the emotion. And then, oh man, those pictures that Cyclocross magazine had of him picking up Nick when, how many years ago was that?
It was in Austin.
So probably what was that? 5 years ago?
Yeah,
4
so
years
5
ago?
years ago, where Nick is probably like a foot shorter than him, and Spencer's picking him up at the end of his race, and then turn around and I think Spencer's not a short guy, and I think Nick's taller now.
Yeah,
and just seeing that sort of hug recreated was that's just I love seeing
special.
that. And that just really that kind of made the day.
Very special.
Everybody goes down to the finish line, right? Like you want to go see the finish of these races. But man, I would tell everybody that when you've watched them go past the finish line, you need to keep an eye on it, because mom and dad, brothers, wives, all these people are down there, and it is such an amazing thing to watch these people, because they're just now processing the fact that they've won a national championship. And it is amazing when the emotions hit, when they see their families and the hugs and the love. And it was great. Like getting emotional again. Talk amongst yourselves.
I am going to put my friend and fellow photographer, Brett Rothmeyer, on blast for a second, and tell you one of his main MOs of shooting a race.
Mm-hmm.
You will never see a finish line shot from Brett, because he is always 50 meters down track. And if you look at his Instagram feed, which is just Brett Rothmeyer, all you're going to see is that emotion, because he knows he knows where the gold is. And he's like, all of my friends are up there. They're all shooting the finish. I'm going to like all of them. I'm glad that they're selling those photos. They look amazing, but this is the stuff I want. This is the gold. And that's where he hangs out. And
he's a smart dude.
Yeah.
Do you remember that kid? I don't know who he was. He went through the finish line and he straight to the left, fell over in the mud and was laying there. And from our vantage point, we couldn't really see anything but a body laying in the mud. And we were like, hey, buddy, on the mic. Hey, buddy, you okay? And he just stuck one thumb up in the air, like, I'm good. And
Drew Coleman.
Arm went back down in the mud.
So if you go to another Instagram feed to follow, LCN_PDX, Drew Coleman has that shot.
Is that right?
Yeah, from the front of him giving the thumbs up, which is
too funny.
Pretty amazing. I think he's already
sinking into the mud slowly.
Yeah, I think that kid's already been memed.
That's so funny. Yeah, that was a cool race. I'm looking down. Not to discredit anyone on there, you got to go 15 spots down to get to a point where you're like, any of these young men could have won that bike race. Any of them.
Well, and you had your reigning champ in 21st, and Ben Gomez Vichafania. He just did not have the day he wanted, and that was really interesting. And that's kind of goes back to that other debate that even though at the top we saw the people we expected to see, there were missing names, a little farther down, or even who could have been fighting for that I think a lot of bodies just did not really respond well to the conditions.
That's right.
Yeah. I mean, I think Justin Lundeen was saying the same thing. He was just like, I don't know what happened, the body was not responding, and he thought he had it was interesting. It's another part I just love, just seeing, and it's one of those positive things I think about social media, when you get to sort of read all of these riders' thoughts on how things went. And I think Lundeen's was one that was like, he's just kind of talking out loud about, trying to make sure that he embraces a positive and a great season with a lot of great results, and not lay it all on the final race of the year and feel like it's not a success because of that. I think that's
just one bike race.
Good perspective to have. Scott.
Yes, sir.
Talk to me
about
the women's
Give
elite.
me a topic. Any topic. About what? I'm sorry.
Women's elite race.
Women's elite race. I said it on the start line, and I mean it without giving announcer drama and build up, and everybody knows it, I'm guessing, that listens to this, is never in recent memory for the elite women's race could I have said that this will be your winner. I had no idea Katie Compton, to go inside the sport, seeing it from my view. So I go down there. I think Julie calls them into the grid, and I'm talking to them all. And I'll say Katie Compton was the calmest person on that front row. She literally had the air of confidence of, you know what? Anything can happen. I've done everything I can. I can't really do anything else. This could be the year that I lose. Nothing I can do about that. She was giving hugs to people while people held her bike. Super calm. I think she was in that frame of reference of I've got nothing to lose other than a 14-time winning streak. It could have picked anyone. I will go back one race before that during the women's only pre-ride, and Sunny Gilbert rode by, and I smiled at her and I said, "It's a runner's kind of day, huh, Sunny?" And she just smiled and rode on by. I couldn't have picked that she would get a silver medal on the day, but who knows? And it was what I loved about the race and how it turned out. 2 points. One of them is I loved how it turned out because it was a great race tactically and physically. And 2, I'm going to say it here. Ellen Noble said it best because the internet sort of got crazy with, if Ellen never let Katie pass, she never would have won. And Ellen Noble's like, she beat me by 2 minutes. That pass did not matter. It was a tough race that favored certain strengths and maybe not other ones. But this, like should happen in races, is the strongest, most prepared racer won. It was an amazing race to watch. Much like last year, it was not a Katie Compton puts 15 minutes on the field, wins a bike race. She had to fight all the way through the finish.
It was such an amazing example, though, of her technical skills. And, we always get to see some of that in every race, right? Where we're like, I don't know, Scott, there was some race in Europe we were watching. It wasn't one of the World Cups. It was like a super prestige where maybe it was a World Cup. I don't remember which one it was now, where she was the only one riding a descent, and like the internet went crazy and like we went crazy in our kitchen. But this race was like, it was like taking a microscope to that skill because it was on display constantly from the first time she took that descent. And she wasn't the first one down that descent, but we had watched, the 17 and 18 men and women and U23, everybody had already come through. And when we watched her take it and the lines that she took, and I would say even comparing it, you compare it to the elite men too, she was the one that took it with the most confidence. She took it the cleanest. She was the one that you were like, okay, she's not going into the stakes on the right. Like everybody else, you're like, there was sort of a chance that they were going to just continue to drift over right. Like she was so in control, and not just in those tricky sections, but also in the sections where the bobbles occurred, where you really saw her mastery, because it wasn't like bobble and then like the rest of us where it's like your brain takes a second to like process what just happened and then you jump off your bike. She was like bobble off her bike, and like continuing to move forward, and it was so smooth the entire time. It was amazing.
Was I supposed to read the top 5, Bill? I'm sorry.
No,
I breached protocol.
We don't have any real. Well, I don't.
Okay.
Have any real system. I can do it now.
Gotcha. Good.
Katie Keough in 5th place, Becca Faringer in 4th place, Ellen Noble in 3rd, Sunny Gilbert with the ride of the day, I believe, for 2nd place, and Katie Compton taking the win.
That's right.
Yeah, Sunny just plugging away, and you're right. She's a runner, and she just was consistent and was making up time on the runs. To certain courses just suit certain people, and I don't think she could have asked for a better day. And what a great accomplishment. This is I just a silver medal, and I could not be happier for her. And so Sunny's an amazing racer, and she's got great results, but the joy that was shared with, we look at Katie Compton and we look at Ellen Noble and Katie Keough, and they've all done extraordinary things on the world level, getting, medals at world championships, winning World Cup races. We almost expect it from them. And again, this is not to take anything away from Sunny, but her performance there was so great. And what I loved was when the rest of the field came in, the people who Sunny Gilbert is fighting with in C2 races weekend after weekend, the joy on their faces that it was almost like one of us was up there. One of us did it. It was great. It made me so happy just seeing that. I can't remember who it was. I think it might have even been like Sarah Sturm coming across the line and was just like flabbergasted and so excited for her, and that just kept happening over and over. And that was just, it was really, really not taking anything away from Compton's win. I mean, that was just a true feat. But this was, I don't know, this was one of those things that they saw that was just really, really special.
Julie, I think you called it on the mic on the last lap when they were pooling riders 80% rule. And Compton came through with one to go and around that first corner. Do you remember what we saw there?
Yeah, everybody that had been pulled.
There's like 15, 20 riders?
Yeah, they all ran over to the tape to cheer her on.
Katie Compton, as she was going around.
Katie on.
Amazing.
Yeah,
they were like, there goes our future champion again. And they were super, like, just crazy cheering.
I do want to say it was cool. It was Beth Ann Orton, who you would have thought won the silver medal also. So excited for Sunny.
We got to spend some time with Beth Ann this time, and she's awesome. I've talked to her before, but never spent any time with her. She's such an advocate for the sport.
Yeah, she's a great advocate. I've got to say though, like in a season where it was weird, right? Like it was a weird season for American cyclocross. Like we're so used to being like, all right, Katie's going to dominate. And if Katie's not there, it's going to be Ellen or it's going to, and it was a weird season. It was the same way with the men too.
I agree.
We're so used to having somebody that is, like you line up and you're like, well, it's going to be Katie or it's going to be Steven or it's going to be Jeremy, that this season didn't have that. And it's so nice, I think, to where you were going with this, Bill, that Sunny Gilbert had a great season. Like she raced well and she raced consistently well all season long. Like right from the get-go at the World Cups. She had strong races, and it's great to see that translate into a great race at nationals, regardless of course conditions.
Can I shout out to 6th, 7th, and 8th place?
Please.
Regina Legg, Lily Williams,
ride.
Sarah Sturm.
Yeah, right?
A national championship, 6th, 7th, and 8th place. I always love this because you're like, well, it'd be interesting to see what they do next year. They finished really well. And I'm excited to see what they do next year.
Yeah. One, just circle back around the top three. Ellen Noble, I don't think it's speaking out of school to say that she came in this to win it.
Absolutely.
She wanted that national championship and felt like she could do it. And I don't think anybody would say that she couldn't. And she was devastated. I mean, third place was not what she wanted. Second place, she was very respectful of her finish, but just really, had a lot of frustration, Scott, that you were able to really be at the mic for all of it. I mean, I don't mean to laugh, but she had three of the most heartbreaking second places. I think, she talks about her world's second place. And I think that one, she was like, this is amazing. I got a silver medal at World Championships. But since then, I think she's in a place where she's like, okay, now it's time to win. And she got a silver medal at Nationals last year. And then she is fighting with, they talk about if she just hadn't let Katie pass, which I agree with you is kind of a
Right.
ridiculous notion. She got the same criticism for the World Cup if she had just not let Mariana Voss pass her in that last year. I mean, come on.
Right.
Greatest cyclist of all time.
Yeah, right.
There's not much she can do. But still, at the same time, I know it's going through her head. And she's thinking, what could I have done different to win that? And then we get to Pan Ams, where she's looking strong. Her and Magli have raced against each other all season long and are so evenly matched. And then just trying to make a pass and gets it a little bit wrong. You actually endos and flips over her handlebars, able to get back on and fight back. And she's just like one little thing there. And I think that I just, I know now, she basically went straight from Louisville to Belgium. Yeah. And I'm hoping that change of scenery, that she's still able to sort of get that good mojo going again and start liking it. But that was tough. That was tough to see her post-race and just, really humanizing for what she... putting this in perspective, I know everybody's going to say, well, she's still, still getting all these wins this year and getting stuff, but it's like when you're at that level, there is another step to step on, and she so wants to be there. And it was a tough one. It was a tough one to see.
Yeah, I mean, ask Katie Compton how hard it is not to win a world champion. How many times has she been second place, right?
Yeah, right.
What I love, same thing with Katie Compton, same thing with Ellen Noble, is how many times have we announced or watched a bike race where if the odds-on favorite to win isn't winning, they pitch their bike over the tape and walk off. Yeah. And at no point did she look like she was going to do that. It was, I'm in this to the end. So my point is that's what's going to make her a champion someday. Is that she sticks in there and keeps going at it.
Yep.
What else you can do? You can't stop a hurricane. I mean, Katie Compton is a hurricane. You're not stopping that thing. You feel for her, but at the same time, what are you going to do? You just got to keep going. She'll get there.
Such a great accomplishment. Yeah. And none of us, I don't know what we're going to do.
when it finally ends. Yeah. Julie and I, before we went down to Louisville, we were literally like, oh man, I said this to Katie last year too. I'm like, I don't want to be the person announcing the day that it happens. I don't want to be that person. I just don't even want to be there when it happens. It's been all of my world of cyclocross has been Katie Compton as the champion. All of my cyclocross years.
I do.
Someday she knows it, but
I said this when they announced Nationals moving to December, which meant that we're having the 2017, 2018 Nationals in 2018, and then the 2018, 2019 Nationals also in 2018. And I want to revive a proposal.
Oh, here we go.
Julie,
do you know what he's talking about?
I don't know what his proposal is.
This was my proposal that there is confusion if you look at Katie Compton's racing record, and you can look through it and you can go, who won in 2011?
Well, they did.
What happened that year? Right. But you don't know. I mean, you just look through the record book, and she won in 2004, 2005, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 18. My proposal is to make this 2018.2 to call it the 2011 National Championship.
I think that's a genius idea.
And then for all of the OCD people like me, then it all just sort of fits together.
Like, right?
Everything in the world is fine again.
Julie, this discussion is what led to all of our lengthy podium calls of And ladies and gentlemen, the 2018,
2019.
it was Bill's fault the entire time.
Yeah. Well, we did, I understand, and I understand, USA Cycling and sort of the marketing behind the version 2, but I think it made more sense to put the actual year, because this actually is the 2019 championship.
That's right.
We're just doing a sneak preview of it in front of the rest of the world.
That's right.
Gina Hall and Ann Knapp. You know who they were?
No, they must have been the people that won before Katie.
Nope, that's second and third in 2004.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah, no, it's Allison Dunlap, and Allison Dunlap.
That's the name I
This
know.
is the thing that I don't think people appreciate. Before Katie Compton was on the scene, Allison Dunlap won 6 national championships.
Yeah.
So
Wow.
And then Anne Grande snuck in there in 2002. So between 1997 and 2018, there have been 3 national champions.
All right, so I'll put it out. I think we've put it out to your listeners before, but I would love to know it. Is there any other cyclocross racer that has won 15 national champions? And I'm not talking American. I'm talking any. 15 times straight.
I don't
ever.
think so.
There's no way, right?
No.
So when we say she's the winningest national champion of all time, man or woman, we shouldn't even have to say that. But,
No, I wouldn't even have to. Yeah, no.
right? There's no way. Love it. It's weird, we're witnessing history, and I love it. I think it's great.
So one thing Scott said, I think he said it on the microphone, and it made me laugh, was that if Katie's streak
this is a bit of a stretch. I'm just going to headline that. I get
ends
it.
next year,
That's
okay?
right.
And then whoever breaks the streak continues and tries to actually break the streak, break the record, Katie would be in her mid 50s before anybody would even have the opportunity to have her 15-year in a row
I feel like I said it a little
record
more
broken.
eloquently.
Yeah, I don't know. It's very confusing.
My point is we're not going to see that in Katie Compton's lifetime.
We may never see that again. I mean, what a tremendous feat it is to, and it seems like she just gets faster. I'm her age. I'm not getting faster.
So when she flips to the Masters racing, I see what you're saying. Your chances at national championships are dashed.
Right? I figure she's just going to retire at some point. I may just outlive her. I'm going to outlive her. That's my only chance.
She's going to Meredith Miller you. She's going to show up in retirement. Beat you.
So
I haven't really ridden my bike in 6 weeks. Beat you all.
Here is my question for you all. We're going to move over to the men, but before we do, who is the most winningest men's national champion?
American or all around?
American.
The most way is it Paige?
No,
you're not going to get it. You're not going to.
I'm not going to get it.
No, it was 1975 through 79.
Lord. Oh well, of course it's
Lawrence Malone.
Yeah, that was my second guess.
Now, the interesting thing is that we have many who have won 4.
When I said Paige, I'm like, wait a minute, Paige hasn't won more than 4.
We have Clark Natwick. We have Don Myra, who's won 4. We have Paige, won.
Say 3.
3.
Yeah, that's what I would have said. 3.
Tim Johnson won 3. Todd Wells won 3. Trebone won 2. No, Paige won 4. I'm sorry.
I was going to say Paige won 4 because he won the late one.
2013. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. It was many years later. Yeah, because he won 3 in a row. He won 2002 through 2004. Waited a decade. Then won in 2013.
Showed up in Madison. Surprised everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then Powers won 4, and now Hyde has won 3.
So 4 is the record on the men's side?
5.
5. Oh, that's right.
Lawrence.
From the 7.
Lawrence
Malone.
Yeah.
Malone.
But let's get into this race, Julie. And I will tell
That's
you.
our segue to men's?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
That wasn't, if you have to point it out, obviously it wasn't as smooth as it could have been.
Sorry.
Here are your top 5.
Like butter.
Like butter.
In 5th place, Jeremy Powers. 4th place, Drew Dillman. 3rd place, Gage Hecht. 2nd place, Curtis White. And on the top step for the 3rd time in a row, Stephen Hyde. Thoughts on this race, Julie Herrmann?
Clearly, it was advantageous to wear a green jersey.
Yes.
That's right.
That's the story.
No, yeah, it was. It shook out early that it was going to be just. I was going to say body blow after body blow, like Curtis White and Stephen Hyde back and forth, time and time again. I just go back to that little running section that was right before the pavement, before the turn up to the limestone steps. Like lap after lap, it would be Hyde leading, then it would be White leading, and then it would be Hyde. And you would think, I kept thinking that Hyde was going to get away earlier. But he just managed to, White just like hung on for so long. And what really I thought was interesting in retrospect around this race is if you think back, both Hyde and White at one time like flipped over their bars. Like they were launched. White may not have flipped over his bars. Hyde definitely flipped over his bars, but they had
White
incidents.
definitely did on the downhill.
Oh yeah.
Remember?
Oh, that's okay. Yeah. So, but neither of them experienced any mechanicals. Like luck, I felt like favored them on that day because there were a lot of incidents that occurred and they were able to continue to ride clean. And it was an epic battle.
Yeah.
Watching. Go ahead, Scott.
Oh, I was just going to say, Hyde, after the finish, he sort of hung around the finish line there, and I was able to get a couple words with him over the fence. And I asked him how many times he think he was going to lose that race. He said 30. And I said, well, when did you know you're going to win that? And he's like, I never thought I was going to win it.
Yeah, and going back to White, he nailed that. That was a wooden stake off of a big drop that he just that he sort of got himself back together and back on the bike was pretty impressive. But going back to what you were saying, Julie, about them sticking together, what was really interesting for that first lap, I wanted to see a little different looks than what I had seen, pretty much all week long. And the benefit of the almost 70-minute race that those guys race is that for that race, you're able to sort of, as a photographer, you're able to sort of get to different spots and know that you can sort of, burn a lap and still be okay. So one of the places that I went, and it was the only time this week I was up there, was to that penultimate climb that turned into a run up to the walking path, and they were pretty much side to side, and it was just this really quiet part of the track. You can't hear the crowd, you can't hear the announcers or anything. You just hear the slosh of their shoes in the mud, and you hear Stephen Hyde, just this constant pep talk to Curtis White. And it was this first lap, and I still think he's like, all right, you and me, we're going to keep getting away. We're going to keep building this. Like, after a while, we're going to start racing, but come on. And he is just like talking to him and talking to him and talking to him as they came through. And it was just... It was
because they know the pilot was back there.
Yeah, right.
and it was just this like kind of big brother, come on man, we got this, let's go. And it was just really neat. It was just really neat. You never like sort of realize that this stuff is going on inside the tape. And so that was kind of fun to witness. And then, after that they started, once they knew, I think that they had gotten rid of the kid, that they were good to go at each other. And when I say kids, Scott, who are we talking about?
Gage Hecht. What a ride by him. Third place.
Yep.
And I think they had to be afraid, not afraid. I don't know if that's the right word, but worried about him. He's clearly dominated, a lot of the races this year at that level. There wasn't any reason to think that he wouldn't this time too. And surely that had to be part of their process was, okay, we're teammates first, then we'll be competitors once we get rid of that kid.
One interesting thing I saw actually on, I forget whose feed it was this morning, but I think they are already in Belgium or the Netherlands, wherever they're staying. But Hyde and Curtis out to train this morning, and guess what both of them were doing?
I don't know.
They were both going out for a run together.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, so I think that even before this, that was part of the preparation and part of the plan, and that's kind of, we heard it from Gage that he was one of these guys that with 2 to go just was cramping up, and the running had gotten to him yet. That guy's a champ, and he just motored through it. But I think that in that sense, that from Spencer on down, I think all those guys were prepared to do and had put in the work off the bike.
Do you know, so most of these elite athletes that raced on Sunday, when did most of them arrive in Louisville? Do you guys know the answer? Or have a guess?
I would say, I don't know. I don't want to go again. I think it kind of varied. Monday, I think a lot of them were there.
Curtis White was walking the track on Monday.
Yeah.
I didn't see any other elite athletes until Thursday, Friday. He was there on Monday, walking that track slowly. It meant a lot to him, is my point. He thought that he had a shot, and he did have a shot at it. And it was interesting to see that he was able to get up there and push it as much as he was.
Yeah. So we had this really interesting battle going on at the front between Hyde and White, and then you went back a few seconds, and then it was Gage Hecht. But behind them, do you guys remember what was happening there too? Like there was a lot of action going on in sort of that 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, and it was interesting how it all worked out, because it was really Werner and Thompson and Clark.
How about Eric Thompson?
Yeah, for the longest time he was up there.
Ride.
He was up there like 4th and 5th spot.
Yeah, I mean he was, and really like mixing it up, and it was a late in the game charge by both Powers and Dillman to come back for those 4th and 5th spots. Like that was not sorted out until that last lap.
Dillman is a great story too, who came back to racing, found this SDG team that gave him the support, and I think really was having fun racing and had a great start to the season, and it looked like he was really, gearing up to get on the top step of some podiums, and broke his hand, and then had to take some time off, and now it's just coming back again. But he was a fun one to. He was, especially, just seeing him through the years. I always remember about, Diedenbach talking about him just like, getting behind and then passing like 70 guys to get to the front of the race. And that kind of seems like his MO. He doesn't always have maybe the best starts, but is one of these guys who just always comes from nowhere. And then all of a sudden like, oh, there's Drew Dillman at the front of the race.
Yeah,
finishing 4th. He was right there. I mean, he said at the beginning of the year, told the story before, I saw him in April, and he pulled me aside and he's like, I'm beating Stephen Hyde this year. I mean, mark my words now, I'm beating Stephen Hyde. I went, oh, that's cute, Drew. That's awesome. And 4th place, say without a broken hand, he may have made good on that one.
I had him on the podium. I was just off by one, and I didn't know. So I didn't know that Hecht was racing at that point.
Oh.
You know what,
go. So
Bill?
he would have been.
Yeah. No, Julie.
No.
I pretty much called that one.
I
pretty
feel
much called
adverse to your putting him on the podium.
Now I can't remember the words we came up with.
Adverse.
Different from adverse.
Unlucky.
I don't know either. Whatever.
Unlucky? Is that what it was? I feel unlucky.
Those are synonyms.
Oh, gotcha.
Synonyms.
The only other one I'll point out in the men's race, 9th place, Murph Davis. That's pretty cool to see.
Yeah, great year. Yeah, I think that we're looking, I believe that we are going to have part of a world selection here in the next couple days. And then I think the other part will be probably early January. I think that the younger groups will probably get announced first, and we'll look forward to that. But I think it's going to be, especially on the men's side, it's going to be really interesting to see. Well, Julie, Gage will probably be racing the U23, so that spot will open again for the elites. I know there's already a big push for Anthony Clark and Merv, that the people are getting behind those two, and I think they are both worthy team members. And I honestly think with his performance, that Dillman is deserves to be there too. I'd be really interested. I don't think Powers went last year.
He did.
Oh, he did.
He did go last year.
Okay. All right. So that'll be. We'll see. I don't know what he's going to do, but that could be an interesting decision. And yeah, a lot of worthy folks on there. Werner, I think, got to be a shoe-in.
Yeah.
Oh.
Hey, we didn't talk about the junior men's 17-18.
Let's do it.
You want to read top 5?
I don't have them.
Jules Van Kempen, 5th. 4th place, Jared Scott. 3rd place, Magnus Sheffield. 2nd place, Nick Carter. 1st place,
Da-da-da.
Alex Morton.
Yeah.
So I got to talk to Alex Morton Sr. a little bit about this because Alex Morton's he's a Michigan kid, and similar to some other kids, he's been racing half his life, and we've been announcing bike races with him. And he gave me a couple stats, and one of them was, and I made the first one wrong right away. Alex last year, I believe, never actually was able to beat Sheffield. And I said something like, "Oh, it's sort of been similar this year." He said they were 50-50, and so Alex able to beat him this year. But Nick Carter, if you look at Nick Carter,
he had a good year.
He's been second. Yeah, and he's been second in national championships last year, second at Pan Am to Magnus Sheffield. So Nick Carter coming up to second place was another amazing result by him. And Morton taking that one. I think I said it on the mic. I really felt like he came out of the shadows on this one. He's been second and third to Nick and Magnus so many times that to see him get the gold medal was really something special. One stat that his dad gave me was at the Cincy race. They did that whole race and Magnus won. And he said, "Scott, do you know what Alex's average heart rate was for the 45-minute race? Do you guys want to guess? Average."
175.
Julie?
I know the answer.
Oh, 193, Bill.
Good
that
Lord.
was his average heart rate for 45. He said that's how hard those young men were going. 193 for 45 minutes.
Well, so he's 17, 16, 220 minus 16.
Still,
is that what? No, I'm just messing with you.
Yeah,
No.
like, my point is, like, that's how hard those young athletes are going. It's like 193 for 45 minutes, just flying. He also made a prediction about Sheffield winning the U23 time trial nationals this year because he said the guy's just so fast. But that was an awesome race to watch. It was a close race all the way up until like the last half of the last lap.
Awesome.
Lucas Searwalt, 6th place. He's the local one.
Yeah.
Pretty cool. And lots of them, Go ahead.
I was just going to ask if we did it.
What? My phone says we've only been talking for 2 hours and 19 minutes. So I feel like we've got some more.
I can't talk to you two anymore. I've run out of minutes.
I want to do what's it called on Capitol Hill when they just talk nonstop so that nobody can cut them off?
You're already there, sweetie.
Filibuster? You're filibustering.
Yeah.
You're adverse bustering. I feel like we lost Scott.
I think we did lose Scott. I can actually hear him still talking.
I know. Well, good. Well, Julie, you and I can then just end it without him. We can thank Scott for his...
Did he threaten to filibuster and you turned him off?
I did no such thing. You are sitting next to each other. You're going to have to share a phone now.
It's not, look at it. No, he's coming towards me. This is my phone. Back off, Herman.
I'm back.
Well, I will say this, that we could probably talk for another 2 hours about this, and maybe we'll have to get...
People will stop listening to your podcast then.
Oh my gosh, now it's like you're in a big reverb room.
Oh no.
All right, Scott, you're done. Say goodbye to everyone.
He's already gone.
Okay. Julie, thank you for coming on and talking about nationals. And we should definitely always good to have you on the show.
Oh, thanks, Phil. He's literally stealing my stuff.
Yes.
Bye, Scott.
Bye, Bill. It was nice talking to you. Anytime you want to hang out in the rain in a cold box and talk about bike races with other people listening, just let us know.
And there you have it. That's episode 132 of Cyclocross Radio. Thanks for tuning in. If you want to follow Scott and Julie Herrmann, you can on Twitter. Scott is at Scott, SCOTHERRMANN. There's a lot of letters in places you don't expect letters to be, and some that you think should be there that aren't. So it's SCOT, Scott, and the Herrmann, HERRMANN. And then Julie is at Julie K. Herm. So JULIEKHERRM. I'm at CXHairs on Instagram and on Twitter and on YouTube without the @ symbol. And that's where I'd love for you to go as well. Go to cyclocrosstelevision.com or just go head over to youtube.com/CXHairs. Hit the subscribe button. Check out all of the Cyclocross Television episodes from this year. There are over 20. If you are stuck on your trainer in your basement, this is hours of entertainment for you. But I want to grow this and make it into a bigger and better entity for next year. And part of doing that is growing that membership. So if you like a video, share it. Show your friends, throw it on Facebook, retweet it, and that helps us continuing to do what we do. And in that same vein, go to wideanglepodium.com, become a member, buy that new Cyclocross Friends coffee, and yeah, let's go on a journey together of awesomeness, and let's do it through the Wide Angle Podium Podcast Network. Finally, go get your free consult from the Coaching Super Friends at MapleWorks Coaching. Go to mapleworkscoaching.com/pod. See you next time, Cyclocross friends.